Hey friends, welcome to our ReactJS fundamental series. In this video, we are going to discuss about how React works behind the scene, and we are going to cover lots of important topics that might be a very good question during the interview, and you will be able to answer those questions after watching this video. Okay, so let's start. If you want to see how React works, first we need to understand how web works. Okay, so let's start over here, and here you can see the topics we are going to cover. That's web. Okay, that's so topics we are going to cover. That's a web, DOM and VDOM, virtual DOM, and the performance benefit in React. That's a very important, right? So let's first understand how web works. So if you want to understand how React works behind the scene, first you need to understand how web works. Okay, that's very important. Then only you can understand how React works. Okay, so let's first say let's imagine we have a file. Let's say we have a file index.html, right? So let's give it a name, index.html. This is our HTML file. We are having HTML code, and let's close this HTML file. Okay, let's say we have some tags over here. Let's say we have a tag div within the body, and inside this div we have one more div, and we have hello text. Let's close this div, and also let's say we have a button, right? This is our button. Let's close this button also. Okay, because of limited space, it's not very visible, but just imagine we have a file, HTML file. We have body, right? We have body, and within the body we have divs, and within the div we have again a div hello, and then we have a button, and then HTML is closed. Now what you're going to do, you're going to load your HTML file over the browser, right? So let's say this is your browser. So here we are going to this is our browser, and we are loading our index.html file. Okay, so we are loading our index.html file, and then we are going to see an output that's hello, right? So browser knows the meaning of HTML, body, div, and everything. That's the reason we are able to see over here hello, right? So this is the step one. So after loading the index.html file, browser creates a HTML DOM object. Okay, browser creates an HTML DOM object. I will tell you what's a HTML DOM object. Just do not worry. Just first understand, first browser loads this index.html file, then browser creates this HTML DOM object. Okay, so DOM means document object model, right? So this DOM is like any other object. Now this HTML DOM is also called object model, right? So this object model is like any other object which has properties and methods. Okay, by using these properties and methods you can modify, edit, and delete the contents of your HTML file. You can create new elements, you can add a new elements, you can remove a new elements from your document file, from your HTML file. Okay, we all know browser has a built-in support for JavaScript. Okay, so we can use JavaScript as a programming language for the web, right? Now with this HTML DOM, JavaScript gets all the power it needs to create, edit, modify, and delete the contents of your HTML file. Now let's see all of these things in action. Okay, so you can understand all of these in a better way. So let's imagine we have our index file. Okay, so let's create an HTML file again in a more clear way. So here we are having our HTML file, then we are having body, and then we have a div. Okay, now inside this we are having one more div. We are having hello. Let's close this div. Now we have a button. Okay, and within this button we have a text, change text, or let's have something better. Let's say we have a button with the text subscribe. Okay, let's close this button. Then our body will be closed. Then our HTML will be closed, right? So this is our normal index.html file with a div hello. Now in place of hello, let's have a text that's a subscribe. Okay, so we have a text subscribe, and within the button we have a text subscribe. Now let's see the DOM representation of this HTML file. You can also see within the browser just doing the inspect. Okay, so let's create the DOM representation of this HTML file. So we are going to have something like that. So this is our HTML, then we are having our body. Inside this body we are having div. Okay, inside this div again we are having a div, and within this div we have a text that's subscribe. Next we have a button within the same div. Okay, so here we have a button. Within the button we have another text that's subscribe. So this is our subscribe and this is subscribe, and that's our complete tree representation of our HTML DOM. Okay, so this is our index.html file. This is the tree representation of our DOM, or you can also call it real DOM. When you are in interview or you are explaining something about the DOM, so when you are saying just DOM means you are referring real DOM. Okay, that's a real DOM or just DOM, or also you can call it browser's DOM. So this is also called browser's DOM. Okay, so this is our browser's DOM. Now let's do our content change. Okay, so when browser's DOM, now let's we have a button over here. On click of this button we are going to change this text from subscribe to subscribe. So let's write our function. So we are going to write a function for this button click. So we are going to say function, and here we're going to say subscribed. Okay, let's opening braces, then body of the function, and now let's create the element using the DOM object. Okay, so here we'll say el element, and we are going to use DOM object. So we'll say document dot get element. Okay, it's a bit difficult to write. Document.get element by id, and then here we are going to say, so here we need the id of the element. So the id I want this element, right, this div. So let's say we have id over here, id equals to text, id equals to, so we'll say over here it's a text, right, close this, semicolon. So now we have our element, we have used our document object, right, model object. Now we have got our element with the help of JavaScript. Now we'll use element dot the property, that's inner HTML, right? So this is the property inner HTML, and here we are going to add a text. So here we'll say okay, here we are going to say so here we're going to say subscribed. Close this with bracket. Now close your function. So on click of this button, this function will be called, and this subscribe text will be changed to subscribe. So what is going to happen? Let's see in action. If you click on that button, okay, so that's this is the real DOM. Okay, this is our browser's DOM with the nodes like body, div, and then sub. So after the click of this button, one more time, browser will create the DOM tree again. So it is going to be like HTML. Then we are going to have body. Inside this body we are going to have div, and then here that's all. Sorry. Body, and within the body we are going to have a div. Within this div we are going to have one more div and a button. Okay, now let's have our text, that's our output. So it's subscribed, right, subscribed, and here we are going to have our subscribed text. again, right? Same text. So on click of this button, here it was subscribe. This particular node is changed to subscribed. So after click of the button, this node subscribed is changed to subscribed, right? Now let's say you are going to click that button. Now let's say you are going to click that button again, okay? You click that button subscribe again, then one more time browser will create the DOM tree, that is going to be body, and then div, then again div, button, and then within this div we are going to have the same text, that's a subscribed, and here we are going to have the same text, subscribed. Okay, so here you can see, you can compare both the trees. It is HTML, all the nodes are same, everything is same, but still browser recreated the whole DOM tree. Let's say you're going to click this button 1000 times, and then browser will recreate this DOM tree 1000 times. Okay, so that's not good in terms of performance, and the operation of creating this DOM tree is expensive. So if you create this DOM tree 1000 times, then it will be very expensive, right? So here, as you can see, on click of this subscribe button, browser will recreate this DOM tree and then re-render the whole application. Okay, even you can see there is no change in the DOM tree, everything is as it is, HTML, body, divs, and everything is same. But that's how browser works. If you are going to click this subscribe button 1000 times, then browser will re-render your page 1000 times, even there is no change at all. This is how we are not getting a good performance. So now we have just seen a simple application with vanilla JavaScript, and where on click of a button, subscribe button, the text will be changed to subscribed, right? That's a vanilla JavaScript code, and we have seen the limitation of that code. Okay, now we are going to see the same application with the React, and let's have our basic index.html file. So this is our basic index.html file that is also required for React application. Okay, so this is our index.html file, and here we are having our HTML code and then closing HTML tag. Okay, within this HTML will have a body, right? Within this body will have a div with id equals to app. Now let's close this div and also close this body. Okay, yeah, handwriting is totally not good, but okay, this is fine. This index.html is required for our React application. Okay, so but with this React we also need one more library, that's a React DOM. Okay, now let me tell you what React and what React DOM will does. So React helps in creating component, right? So it helps in creating component. So component is nothing but it's your UI, it's your interface. It's just your HTML tag, like HTML tag, not HTML tag. So it's just piece of code that represent UI interface, user interface, and React DOM helps in rendering the components. So it helps in rendering the components. Okay, so React DOM helps in rendering these components. Okay, now let's have the same example. Let's say we have a JSX code. Okay, now you don't know what's a JSX if you're learning React, but JSX is something similar like HTML, but it is not HTML, and we'll have a separate video about JSX, but right now you can think of it as it's just a normal HTML. Okay, so let's have our JSX code. So here we'll say we'll say const JSX equals to, and here we'll say our JSX code, that's a div. I told you which looks it looks similar like HTML. Then again we are going to have a div. Inside this we are having some text like subscribe. Now close this div. Okay, and let's have a button also. Within this button we'll have a text again, subscribe. Now let's close this button, and finally close this div tag. Okay, so we close this div tag. This is our JSX. Now this is our interface. Now we need to render this interface, so we'll use React DOM, right? So we'll use a method render from the React DOM to render this JSX code. So we'll say React DOM dot render, and here we'll have our JSX code. Next, so first argument will be the JSX code, second argument will be the place where we want to render this interface or this JSX code. So I want to render that JSX code within this div, right? It has an ID app, so I will pass the ID, or I will pass this element, not the ID, I will pass this element, and I can select this element by using JavaScript code, that's a document.getElement by ID. So basically you're going to have document.getElement by ID, and then you'll pass this app. So I don't have so much space over here, so I will simply write app, right? So here we'll have React DOM.render, and then we have JSX code. So when we will run this code in our application, so when we will execute this code, React will create a virtual DOM. That's the first job of the React. React will create a virtual DOM. It is not going to render anything in the browser. It is going to create the virtual DOM. That's the first job of the React. So here I have created this simple example. So you can see this a virtual DOM, and this virtual DOM is nothing but it's a copy of actual DOM, or it's a copy of browser's DOM, and the same name, it's a copy of real DOM. But this virtual DOM lives in the memory. That's a very important point. This virtual DOM lives in the memory, not in the browser. Actual DOM lives in the browser. It's a browser API. But here this virtual DOM lives in the memory. It's created by the React. It's just like any other object. Okay. So this virtual DOM is in the memory, right? And this is the first time it gets created. So what React will do, okay, it's the first time virtual DOM gets created. So it will render exactly like this in the real DOM. So here you can see the real DOM also. So everything is the same, right? HTML, you can compare body, div, button, subscribe. That's the first time of rendering. React will just do exactly copy paste thing, and you'll get the text. You'll see the text subscribe and the button over the browser, right? Now next time you will have a button over here, right? You can see you have a button over here. So you can attach a on-click function over this button, right? On-click of this button, we are going to run a function, and that function is going to change the subscribe text to subscribed. Okay, so here on click of that button, again React will create a virtual DOM completely from scratch. Okay, so it is going to create HTML, body, div, and everything, but except this text is going to be subscribed instead of, so here it is going to be subscribed. As you can see, this is subscribed, but it is subscribed. So this virtual DOM is created completely from scratch with a node subscribed instead of subscribed, right? So this is our new DOM created by new virtual DOM created by React, and this is our old virtual DOM, right? So now React will do a comparison between old virtual DOM and new virtual DOM, and it will find out the difference. So during the comparison, it will use a diffing algorithm to find out the difference. So it will find out the difference between these two virtual DOM and real DOM, and it will see the difference. Okay, here is there is a change in this node, it is subscribed, and in this node it is subscribed. Okay, so there is a difference between these two nodes of DOM, of virtual DOM. So it will tell the browser, to render that particular node instead of rendering the whole DOM tree, right? This is the benefit we are getting from React. So instead of rendering the whole real DOM tree, it will simply tell the browser what needs to update. Okay, so here we need to update this particular node. So browser will just update this node instead of re-rendering everything. So it is going to be subscribed. Okay, then you are going to see a text over the browsers, that's a subscribe, right? Now the same process we are going to do again. If you are going to click on that button text again, then what is going to happen? React will create again a virtual DOM completely from scratch, and as you can see, we have HTML, body, div, button, subscribe, and subscribes. It is going to be subscribed. you can see D. Okay, so it created that virtual DOM. Now this is our new DOM. Okay, this is our new DOM. Now it will do a comparison between this new DOM and the previous or the last previous DOM. So it will this one, right? Now this is old DOM. Okay, so it will do this comparison between this new DOM and this old DOM, and it will see there is no difference. Everything is as it is. So here it is HTML body div button, subscribed, and then subscribe. So here you can see everything, every node is same. There is no difference. So it will simply tell the browser there is no need to re-render anything. So it will simply tell the browser there is no need to render anything because every node is same, and just it will just have this is the final DOM. Okay, so again, if there is any change, and it will recreate the virtual DOM completely from scratch, then it will do the comparison between the new DOM and then the last previous DOM. So, and if there's a difference, then it will update the real DOM instead of re-rendering the whole DOM tree. So this is how we are getting performance benefit using React now, right? Now we are going to see the practical example of both vanilla JavaScript application and React application, and we are also going to see how we are getting performance benefit in React application. Okay, let's start our code. Okay, so here I have VS Code, and I have a folder React Fundamental. I have nothing, so this is the first time I'm using this folder. Let's create a file, and here I will create a file, let's say jsapp.html. So this is for our vanilla JavaScript, right? And here I will use the basic HTML5 structure, and inside this we'll say JS app, right? Within the body we are gonna write some div tag. So in this div tag we are gonna write one more div tag. Here we'll say id equals to text, and here we'll say subscribe, right? Next we are going to have a button tag. Within the button we are going to have again a text like subscribe, and we are going to have a script. Within the script we are going to have a function, that's subscribe function, and this is a regular function. And now let's create our element. Okay, so we'll say const element equals to, so this is our DOM object. Okay, model object or DOM object, anything is fine. Document dot get element by id, and here we'll say id name is text. Next we are going to use this DOM object el dot. Now we are going to use the property of that DOM object. So we'll say inner HTML equals to subscribed, right? So this function we need to call from the button. So let's copy this subscribe. Okay, this is subscribe. Let's copy this function and let's paste over here. On click of it, we are going to call this function, save this, and let's load this application, load this index.jsapp.html file with the VS Code extension open with live server. You can open it directly also, it is totally fine. So here it is loaded, and you can see we are having this subscribed and subscribe button, right? So this is our plain vanilla JavaScript code, and we are going to see this real DOM. So this is our DOM tree with HTML, and then we have a node head, and then body. Within the body we have a div tag. Within the div we have an id text subscribed. Okay, if you click on this subscribe, let's reload it. Okay, there's something wrong. Okay, that's actually subscribed. So here you can see we have a node, a body. Within this we have one more node, and we have a node with id text, right? And then here we have a subscribe. So first this DOM, this whole application, this whole DOM tree just created, and you can see the change in the browser, the subscribe, and we're getting the button, right? Now if you click on this subscribe button, now this time again the whole DOM tree gets recreated, and you're seeing this change, right? Subscribe. Now if you click this again, now again the whole DOM tree gets recreated, and you're seeing the special effect over this text. Just keep your eyes over here, div id text, and you can see the change in color. Here you can see some special effect. Let's click on that subscribe. So what's happening, every time the whole DOM tree is getting recreated, but you are seeing the change only in this div tag, because that's the only place it is changing. Rest of them is or same every time, right? So every time when you click, the whole DOM tree is getting recreated. Now let's see the same example with the React and how we are getting performance benefit with that. Okay, so let's go to our VS Code and let's create one more file, and here we'll say react app.html, and here we are going to say let's HTML5, and yeah, so here we'll say it's a React app. Now within this app we'll add some React library, so because we want to use the React, right? So we'll first add the library. We don't want to do that create React app thing because it is gonna give us a lot of thing with React, and that's totally unnecessary. That's not the part of React at all. React is just a small library. Okay, so we'll say React CDN. So here it says CDN links, and here is the two flavors of React DOM libraries available. One is the react.development.js, react-dom.development.js. Okay, another one is a production version of it, so it's not a problem. You can use any of them. It's totally fine. So as we are testing, anything is fine. Just let's take any one of them. Okay, so here we'll paste our DOM library, but right now it is not, we cannot create still the React application because we are going to use JSX, and JSX only works with Babel. Only Babel can compile the JSX code, right? So vanilla JavaScript cannot compile, so your browser cannot compile the JSX code. We need a support for the Babel. So also I will add a Babel CDN. So we'll say Babel CDN, and here is this link, Babel standalone. Go down and okay, this one is fine. Let's copy this. Let's paste after that. So now we are ready to code our React our component. Okay, so we'll say script, and here we have to also specify we are going to use Babel. Okay, so we'll say text / Babel. Now okay, the sum of if you're seeing this video or you're learning the React first time, so I'm going to write some component based code that might be not very good to you because if you're seeing the first time, but it's totally okay. I just want to show you how we are getting performance benefit, not the React component code. Okay, so I'm just going to create a class. We'll say subscribe class, then we are going to have extends, then we already have the React library, so we'll use react.component. Okay, hopefully the spelling is correct, component. Now we will add a constructor, we'll add props. So this is all ES6 class based syntax, props, then we'll use a state, and then here we'll say text, and here we'll write our subscribe. Okay, now we'll write a render function. Okay, that's the beauty of this auto completed extension. So we have got this div, right, and we even don't need this one too. So here we'll say div, close your div. Within this div we are going to have one more div like our vanilla JS code, right? And here we'll say this.state.text. Let's close that div. Then we are going to have a button. Within this button we'll have our text like subscribe, and on click of this we'll call a function. So I'm writing an arrow function, and here we'll say this dot set state, and here we'll have text, and here we'll say subscribe. Okay, so this is going to change our text subscribe, and we'll see over here subscribe. So just do not worry about this, it's totally fine. So this is our subscribe component. Now we need a React DOM to render this. So we'll use a React DOM to render this, React DOM.render. Now we'll pass our JSX code, Okay, not here. This is the component itself. So here we'll use react tom.render method from the react tom library, and here we'll pass our component. So we can pass our component like a tag. So we'll say subscribe. Next we want to where we want to show this text, right? So we need to choose a place. So let's have a div over here. We'll say id equals to app, right? Now we'll pass the id of that element. So we'll say document dot get element by id, and here we'll have app. Okay, the problem I'm getting some error over here. You can see on line 23, it is because I have written my render function within the constructor. So yeah, that's the problem, right? We are getting this render method from this React component because we're extending this class. It is going to be available here, right? Save this. So this is our JSX code, and our application is almost completely ready. Now here let's launch this, open with live server. And now we have two different applications. We have JS app, we have just seen it every time when you're clicking on it, and every time the DOM tree is just recreating, and it is not good in terms of performance. It's expensive. Here is our React application. Now let's see the same example with that. Here is our React app, and here we have head, body. So when we have loaded this React application first time, before rendering anything over the page, it just created a virtual DOM, and as the virtual DOM gets created the first time, so it just re-rendered everything as it is in the real DOM. That's the reason you're seeing this subscribe. Okay, now let's open your DOM tree, body, then div id, and then again we have an id, and we have text div subscribe with a button subscribe, right? Now let's click on this subscribe button, and you can see we have got our subscribe text here. What just happened? So let's click on this subscribe button, and you can see you have got this subscribed. So what just happened? So after the click of this subscribe button, React again created a virtual DOM with this node subscribed. Then a comparison happened between virtual DOM between the old virtual DOM and the new virtual DOM, and the difference between this particular node. So there is a difference between a node between the old DOM and new DOM, and because of that difference, React told the browser, okay, there is a change in that particular node, so you have to update that particular node instead of updating the whole DOM tree. Okay, so intelligently or smartly, React told the browsers, and then browser updated this text from subscribe to subscribed, right? Now if you click that again, now again the same virtual DOM gets created, but this time there is no change in any of the node from the DOM tree. Everything is as it is. So React told the browser, okay browser, there is no need to update anything. It's just everything is as it is. So you don't need to update anything. So if you click this 1,000 times virtual DOM gets created, but everything is in the memory and it is very fast. So there is no performance issue. But the main thing is we are not recreating 1,000 times our real DOM tree. Okay, so this is how we're getting performance benefit in terms of React. Now I hope you got clarity how React works behind the scene. Plus you also know what's a virtual DOM, what's the real DOM, what's the HTML DOM, and how web works, and how you're getting performance benefit by using the ReactJS, right? So I hope this video is very helpful for you, and you can answer all of your question during the interview. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. And if you have any doubt, if you want to ask anything, just let me know in the comment section. Have a nice day. Bye bye.